When many people think of the Nile River, they also think of Egypt. They think of pyramids, mummies, and ancient kingdoms that ruled the lush green Nile Delta for thousands of years. But the Nile, the world's longest river, travels through several countries in East Africa before passing through Egypt. Many of these countries are now fighting for greater control of the river's waters. What makes it so precious? The Nile cuts a green path of plant life through the Sahara Desert, giving life to otherwise dry countries that desperately need water for agriculture, farming and fishing, electricity, and human use. The whole region is now disputing or arguing about who owns this important natural resource. Egypt was given ownership of the Nile in 1929 by Great Britain. At that time, Britain's powerful military controlled Egypt and wanted to make sure they also had control of the Nile. Britain no longer rules Egypt, but this treaty, or official agreement, still gives Egypt final say over how the river is used today. In 1959, Egypt made a deal with Sudan to share more than 80% of the Nile's total water supply. But other countries say these old treaties are unfair. Ethiopia's lakes and rivers provide more than 85% of the water that flows into Egypt and Sudan from the Nile. But the two countries have long prevented or stopped Ethiopia from building a hydroelectric power plant on the Nile that would use the river's water pressure to make electricity. Egypt and Sudan have also rejected plans like Rwanda and Uganda's recent requests to use more water for fishing and farming. They say plans like these damage the modern agricultural industries of their own countries, which depend on the river's fresh water. Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Kenya have signed a new treaty to change the way the Nile's water supply is used and shared. The Comprehensive Framework Agreement would divide the Nile's water supply more fairly, they say. Egypt and Sudan did not sign the treaty. Without their approval, the international community cannot legally recognize the Comprehensive Framework Agreement. But the voice of the countries behind the agreement was not completely ignored. Since the treaty signing began, Egypt and Sudan have agreed to let Ethiopia and Uganda build hydroelectric power plants on the river. Both countries now recognize the need to allow more Nile projects upstream.